So I've been moving around sprinklers for years, and one of the things that's most annoying about it is that you constantly have to readjust it every time it's moved. And the other thing is you cannot just leave it on top of your lawn forever. You actually have to move it, otherwise you'll have a big yellow spot in the lawn.
Keep it simple and just mow.
This is a non-sponsored video, so one of the things I'm experimenting with is the Rainbird system with the Snap and Go Connect. And it's supposed to be easy. Once you put it in the ground and you do your first adjustment, you shouldn't have to touch it again. So we're going to see how the installation process is going to go and some problems you may experience moving forward. So when you get the unit, the box is pretty small and it actually has a really small footprint.
Installation is super easy. I'm not going to get into much detail, but basically there's 4 pieces to it. There's the impact sprinkler, there's the housing, there's the water supply pipe and bracket, and then there's the housing cover. You just simply put all those things together and then you're ready to go.
So before you decide to bury the sprinkler, you want to test it out first to make sure that you have enough coverage over the entire area. And then you want to do your little adjustments here and there in order to make sure you have full coverage. Once you know your coverage is adequate, what you want to do is dig a hole roughly about 9 inches deep and about 14 inches wide. But I think you can go a little bit smaller with the footprint. Just pretty much outline where you want to dig and just dig it up. You set your system down and then you backfill it with dirt. So one of the issues I started running into is the unit started to leak in the housing. You don't notice it right away, but after you run the sprinkler for roughly about 10 minutes, you notice the housing is flooded. I called the support number in order to see what the problem is, and they gave me some recommendations. So one of the recommendations they gave, that the housing itself is not screwed on tightly onto the impact sprinkler. And one of the ways to fix that is to get yourself a sprinkler wrench. I'll link the product in the description. But basically, you want to use the wrench to pry the top open, lift it up with your hand, and then you want to place the wrench onto the sprinkler, and then you want to screw it tight. So I decided to unscrew the unit to see what the issue is, and I noticed there's a rubber ring that's supposed to give it a tight seal. So one of the ways I'm going to address this is to not just use the rubber ring, but to use thread tape around the threads. Once I've gone around the thread a few times, I'm going to screw the sprinkler back onto the housing and give it a really tight turn. So now to test the system, I'm noticing the leak is almost non-existent. There is still going to be a little bit of leakage, but that's due to the sprinkler actually impacting, and every time it impacts, a little bit of water gets into housing and then it seeps down into the hose to get drained into the soil. So this is pretty much normal operation. But when you have a big leak like I did, what you can do is get yourself a wrench, tighten it, but even better, unscrew it, put some thread tape on, and then give it a tight turn. So I wanted to jump in here for a second. After reading some reviews on Amazon, one of the things I'm going to do is actually dig the hole a little deeper and then fill it with gravel, drainage gravel. So this way, any little bit of water that tends to seep from the housing will get drained easily down into the ground. So digging the hole deeper and backfilling with drainage gravel is definitely going to help the situation. So all in all, I recommend this system. It's actually looking pretty good. You're probably going to run into a few issues here and there, but overall, definitely worth the expense versus paying a lot of money for an in-ground system.